The air inside the TOC was thick with tension. The dim glow of the map projector cast long shadows across tired faces as our platoon leader outlined the operation. Lifeline Squad stood at the edge of the room, leaning against thin plywood walls. It was a running joke that the commander had to do some questionable things to procure this projector out here in the desert. But the alternative was standing around a piece of plywood with some paper stapled to it, straining our eyes to read the text and pictures. Compounds confirmed to have HVTS, the LT said, pointing to the satellite image. They've been running logistics for insurgent forces in this AO. Supplies, weapons, comms. Intel says there's a tunnel network under the compound. Killer Squad will lead the breach. Bang Bang and Devil provide overwatch and interior support. Lifeline, you hold the gate and secure the exfil point. Instantly, a murmur passed through the room. Holding the gate might sound straightforward, but everyone here knew that meant being the linchpin if everything went sideways. Questions? He asked. Carrington leaned forward. What kind of resistance are we expecting exactly? The LT's jaw tightened. Multiple fighters in and around the compound, possibly RPGs on the ridgeline. Once we hit the gate, expect reinforcements. Stay sharp. Ortiz, our gunner, nudged me as we walked out. Why is it always us holding the gate? Because we're the ones they trust the most to do it, I guess, I said, checking my aid bag for the 5th time. Carrington caught my eye and nodded. Exactly. Lifeline doesn't fail. We rolled out under the cover of darkness. I have no idea what time it was, but it was definitely in the early morning hours. The convoy rumbled over the dusty road, headlights off, night vision goggles casting everything in a ghostly green hue. The radio crackled with occasional updates from the lead vehicle. I sat in the back of the second Humvee, my rifle resting across my lap. My aid bag was strapped tight to my side, packed with bandages, chest seals, morphine, and tourniquets. I'd gone through the inventory 3 times before we left, but I still felt like I'd missed something. Eyes up, Carrington said over the comms. We're a click out. The terrain was all jagged rocks and dry scrub, perfect for ambushes. My heart thumped harder with every bump in the road. I wasn't scared of the firefight. I was scared of what would happen after. We hit the compound fast. Killer Squad dismounted first, their boots pounding the dirt as they moved to breach the main gate. Bang Bang and Devil Squads followed, fanning out to secure the perimeter. Lifeline set up at the outer gate, laying down concertina wire and positioning the Humvees for cover. I stayed low behind a concrete barrier, watching through the scope of my M4 as Killer's breaching charge blew the gate wide open. The explosion lit up the night, followed by the sharp crack of rifles and the muffled pops of grenades. Gate secure, Carrington shouted. Hold this position. Ortiz set up the M240 on the hood of a Humvee, the heavy machine gun pointed toward the ridgeline. If they're coming from up there, he said, his voice calm but ready. The firefight in the compound grew louder, punctuated by frantic radio chatter. This is Vickers! We're inside, encountering heavy resistance! Vickers was the squad leader of Killer. Moments later, a soldier from Bang Bang stumbled back to our position, blood streaming down his arm. Medic! He shouted, clutching his shoulder. Got it! I yelled, sliding into cover and pulling him down beside me. His face was pale, and his breath came fast and shallow. Bullet went through clean, I said, cutting away his sleeve. You're lucky. I wrapped the wound tight with a pressure bandage, ignoring the incoming fire snapping overhead. Can you hold a rifle? Yeah, he grunted, wincing as I helped him to his feet. Then get back on that line, I said, slapping his helmet. Contact ridgeline, Ortiz shouted, opening up with the M240. The night lit up as insurgents began pouring fire down on us. Tracers streaked through the air, and an RPG exploded just short of the Humvee, shaking the ground beneath us. They're trying to cut us off, Carrington yelled. Ortiz, keep them busy. Everyone else, watch your sectors. I crouched behind the concrete barrier, heart pounding. Another soldier, a rifleman from Devil, collapsed beside me, his chest heaving and blood bubbling from a jagged wound in his side. Collapsed lung, fucking great, I muttered, yanking a chest seal from my aid bag. The gunner's wide eyes locked on mine as I worked. Stay with me, man, I said, slapping the seal over the wound. You're good. Just breathe. Ortiz's M240 roared beside me, drowning out the soldier's shallow gas. The insurgents pressed harder, their fire growing more coordinated. Ortiz was down to his last belt of ammo, and the rest of us were firing in controlled bursts to conserve rounds. We had been at this for only half an hour, and each second felt like forever. Killers pinned inside. Our platoon sergeant's voice crackled over the radio. Bang, Bang, and Devil are trying to pull them out, but they need more time. We don't have time, Carrington shouted to Nguyen, reloading his M4. The radio operator related the message. Doc, how's that soldier? He's stable, I said, wiping the sweat from my face, smearing blood across my forehead accidentally. For now. Good, grab your rifle and stay sharp. The insurgents launched another wave, charging through the smoke. I fired blindly, my rounds punching into the darkness. One of them made it to the wire before Carrington cut him down with a burst from his M4. Finally, the gunfire inside the compound shifted. We saw shadowy figures emerging from the thick, black smoke, Bang Bang and Devil squads, dragging killers wounded with them. I think that image will be forever imprinted on my brain, watching those literal badasses move through. But I was still glad to not be in that position. Gate's still hot, Vickers yelled. Cover us! Lifeline, light him up, Carrington ordered. Ortiz let loose with the last of his ammo, and the rest of us poured on suppressive fire, keeping the insurgents pinned while the squad sprinted toward the gate. Fall back, Carrington shouted. Get to the vehicles. Lifeline, mount up. The convoy roared away from the compound as the first hints of dawn broke over the horizon. Inside the Humvee, I worked on the wounded, my hands moving automatically, despite the exhaustion pulling at my body. You did good, Doc, Carrington said, slumping against the wall of the vehicle. I nodded, staring at the bloodied bandages scattered around me. The mission was over, but the images of the dead and dying were burning themselves into my mind. As the cop came into view, I closed my eyes, knowing it wasn't the last time I'd see that compound or those faces in my dreams. We had failed that mission, unprepared for the amount of enemy forces lying in wait for us. We had no choice but to retreat or otherwise face imminent death. Intelligence gathering had failed us, but it wasn't the first or last time it would happen. All we could do is clean up, load up, and move out. That was life in the valley.